Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. I'll give you the latest news as it pertains to the country, the economy, as well as our money. Let's take a look at the latest news emerging from Washington, D.C. about the infrastructure package. Here's a tweet on your screen from Burgess Everett, the Politico Co-Congressional Bureau Chief. Everett reports that the conservative Democrat from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, essentially talked about what he was committed to. So here's what he said. He warned that bailing on bipartisan infrastructure talks and rolling it all into one massive bill with reconciliation might be difficult. He said this, I quote, "Two-track system, I don't think you'll see everything in one track." Basically, Joe Manchin is saying we need to cooperate with the Republicans. We need to have one bill with the Republicans and we need to have a second bill in which we, meaning the Democrats, do whatever we want to do, whatever we want to get done. And putting a finer point on it, and again, this is another tweet from Everett, putting a finer point on it, Manchin said, "I'm not committed to anything right now except a bipartisan infrastructure bill." Folks, this means that President Biden and the White House are going to have major problems dealing with the conservative Democrat from West Virginia because they do need his support. Remember, there are 50 Democrats, including the independent from Maine, Senator Angus King, including the independent from Vermont, Senator Bernie Sanders. Both Angus King and Bernie Sanders tend to vote with the Democrats, but they cannot afford a single deflection. The president, the White House, cannot afford a single deflection. Here's reporting on your screen from Max Cohen, and Max is a reporter at Punchbowl News, and Max reports that walking into a bipartisan infrastructure group meeting, Mitt Romney, the senator from Utah, said that they'll be sending a letter asking for Wednesday's cloture vote to be pushed back to Monday. Basically, what is happening is that the Republicans are trying to stall the infrastructure negotiations as much as possible. Shifting gears a little bit, the Trump Inaugural Committee Chairman Tom Barrack was charged with illegal foreign lobbying of the former president on behalf of the United Arab Emirates. In fact, Barrack was charged in a 7-count indictment that also included obstruction of justice. Let's roll the tape and check out this latest stunning news involving a key official involved with former President Trump. Let's roll the tape and watch.
Barrack was acting as an unregistered foreign agent, lobbying the United States on behalf of the government of the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, without telling the federal government that that's what he was doing. He was arrested this morning along with a man from Aspen, Colorado named Matthew Grimes, who's 27 years old. And there's a UAE official also charged who remains at large. Barrack will appear in court this afternoon.
Speaking of former President Trump and the vendetta involving former President Trump, here's an interesting quote from Congressman Jim Jordan after he was selected to the January 6th committee. He said, I quote, "You know what this is about? This is about going after President Trump." Let's roll the tape and hear Jim Jordan speaking with Manu Raju over at CNN.
Mr. Jordan, what do you hope to accomplish from the Republican side in this investigation?
You know what this is about? This is about going after President Trump. You know, I mean, the Democrats, they don't want to talk about anything else, so they got to talk about this. They don't want to talk about the crime that's going up in every major urban area. They don't want to talk about the crisis at the border. They don't want to talk about the price. The fact that the price of everything is going up. The price of eggs went up. The price of milk went up. The price of lumber's went up. The price of an airline ticket's up. The price of a used car. Everything's going up. They don't want to talk about all that, so they got to talk about how we're going to go after President Trump for the third time.
Well, what are you guys going to do? What are you guys going to do about it?
And while all this is happening, President Biden is busy. Here's a tweet on your screen from President Biden. "You can't flip the global economy back on like a light switch. As demand returns, there are going to be temporary global supply chain challenges." He's referring to the chip shortage that's impacting cars. He said that's a real challenge, and my administration is doing everything we can to address it. Let's roll the tape and hear from President Biden.
We also know that as our economy has come roaring back, we've seen some price increases. Some folks have raised worries that this could be a sign of persistent inflation, but that's not our view. Our experts believe, and the data shows, that most of the price increases we've seen are expected to be temporary.
And let's head back to Manu Raju from CNN. Here's a tweet on your screen from Manu Raju, and he's actually quoting John Thune, the Republican whip, and he said he expects all 50 Republicans to vote against proceeding to the infrastructure bill as the talks are ongoing. This is pretty incredible, folks. Speaking of incredible, a reporter actually asked the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, would you speak out against people who are speaking out against the vaccine. To which Mitch McConnell said, get vaccinated and ignore all of the other voices that are giving demonstrably bad advice. And folks, what is also interesting is that many officials from Fox News, including the well-known Sean Hannity, have now started speaking out in favor of vaccinations after essentially saying that vaccines were not a good idea and the whole thing was a hoax and this, that, and the other. Very interesting how the entire tune of the Republicans and many conservative outlets has actually changed. Let's roll the tape and hear from the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell. Let's watch.
Get vaccinated.
Leader McConnell, on that note, the Republican governor of Utah said this weekend that conservative talking heads are, quote, literally killing their supporters. Would you speak out against people who are actually speaking out against the vaccine?
I don't know how I could be any more clear than I have been. I've been saying the same thing about vaccinations all along the way. Others can say whatever they choose to say, but this is something I think I'm a good example of, something I know the answer to. It is not at all unclear that the way to avoid getting back in the hospital is to get vaccinated. I want to encourage everybody to do that and to ignore all of these other voices that are giving demonstrably bad advice.
Speaking of some interesting news, Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, went up into space on a successful Blue Origin flight. By the way, Blue Origin is a company funded by him out of his own money. And this is what Jeff Bezos said. I quote, "I also want to thank every Amazon employee and every Amazon customer because you guys paid for all this." Let's roll the tape and hear from the one and only Jeff Bezos. Let's watch.
And then I want to thank every Amazon employee and every Amazon customer, because you guys paid for all of this. So seriously, for every Amazon customer out there and every Amazon employee, thank you from the bottom of my heart very much.
And there was a response to this comment from Jeff Bezos from none other than Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a Democrat from New York. She says this, I quote, and you'll see her tweet on your screen, "Yes, Amazon workers did pay for this with lower wages, union busting, a frenzied and inhumane workplace, and delivery drivers not having health insurance during a pandemic. And Amazon customers are paying for it with Amazon abusing their market power to hurt small businesses." Wow, this is really intense stuff. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. This right here is a little bit of information about me. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. I want you to know that I work hard on this channel every single day. I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to serving you. I'm looking forward to continuing to give you the truth wherever the truth might lead us. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.